The other day, I was at a restaurant and I ran into a former coworker. And this coworker had recently experienced an unexpected death of someone close. And I went to express my condolences. And then, as I was doing that, I said, I don't know if this is appropriate, but, and I gave this person a hug. Now, what I found interesting as I thought about that interaction after it happened was the fact that I felt the need to say, I don't know if this is appropriate. And I think that that truth that I expressed in those words is in many ways a decidedly introverted feeling statement. And the reason is because introverted feeling tends to be keenly aware of how it feels, what it likes, and how it would want to be treated in any given situation. It usually knows that. And the higher the FI, the more keenly aware the person is of his or her own feelings and his or her own ways that he or she wants to be treated in any situation. But what FI does not do is it does not check in with the general population, with the group, to ask the question, what is the appropriate emotional connection that I am supposed to make when I find myself or when I find someone else in a given situation? Now, if we contrast that with extroverted feeling is usually much more aware of what the appropriate words or steps are to make that emotional connection with another member of the group in whatever situation it may be. Extroverted feeling checks in regularly with what is considered to be the normal way of expressing emotion or sharing emotion with another human being in all sorts of different situations. And so extroverted feeling, people with high extroverted feeling will tend to know what is the appropriate thing to say in this situation, or what is it that I ought to do? Is it appropriate for me to give this person a hug in this situation? Is that the right thing to do? Now, as an introverted feeling person, I really could look at it from a couple of ways. I could say maybe, well, I would want to receive a hug. Now, maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't, but let's say that I would. If I introverted feeling want to receive a hug, if I were in that situation, then I'm naturally going to think, well, if that's what I want, then it must be the right thing to do. So I will offer the same thing to this person that I would want in this situation. The other thing that introverted feeling is very capable of doing is observing, and this may be more for people with high SE, but introverted feeling can, or the human being who uses the introverted feeling can just observe as he or she goes through life how people do react in these situations and then make the projection, well, this must be the appropriate thing to do. So, is it appropriate to hug someone who has just lost a loved one? Well, sure. However, there are all sorts of factors that have to be taken into account, like what is my relationship with this person? What is my past with this person? Where am I? Like, where are we? Are we standing inside of a restaurant, or are we, off in, some private place or whatever? All these things may be considerations that have to be mulled over. But the FI is probably either going to say, well, this is what I would want, so this is what I will do. Or, well, this is what I've seen other people do in the past, so I guess that's right. I don't really know. And then just proceed with some probably rather awkward maneuver at that moment, or some awkward words, because FI doesn't really know what is socially appropriate. FE does know because it's regularly checking in. Now, I will say with the FE people, I think it's probably very likely that the INFJs and the ISFJs will do this a little better or less awkwardly than the ENFJs and the ESFJs. And let me explain why I think that. The ENFJs and ESFJs having FE at the very top will certainly be regularly checking in with the group to know, well, what is appropriate. But they can be so addicted, if you will, to the extroverted feeling that they often will see the connecting of emotions with another human being as being like the most amazing and important thing in the world. So they might think, well, the greatest thing that I can ever do is to find a way to get my emotions to connect with, her emotions or his emotions in this situation. And so sometimes I think that the lead FE people can actually be a little awkward in a different way than the lead FI people, because the lead FE people will be so sometimes over the top at wanting to have that emotional connection that they might do something that someone else feels uncomfortable with because they see it as being the socially acceptable thing to do. And it probably is because they're aware of that, but they may just go a little far with it. They may take it a little far, or they may not be asking the question, does the person that I'm trying to emotionally connect with want to be connected with emotionally? I know an FE dominant person who is married to an FE secondary person, okay? And there are times when the FE dominant person so wants to emotionally connect that this person can be a little awkward about it. And the FE secondary spouse will say, will kind of check this FE dominant person and say, that's too much. That's not appropriate, or let's not do that at this moment. That's a bit much. And then the FE dominant person usually kind of reels back a little bit and is like, oh, okay. Because this FE dominant person didn't realize, like the FE dominant person understood, hey, here's a general good way to connect emotionally with another human being. But because of the devotion or the almost addiction to that emotional connection with other human beings, takes it too far. And I've seen actually a number of FE dominant people who take their need for emotional connection with another human being too far and make it almost awkward. The FIs, however, will be awkward in another way. It will not be because they tried to take it too far, but it will be more because they just really don't know what is the right way to make that emotional connection, other than whatever way they would want it made with them, and assuming that that must be the way, and then doing that. Or again, working off of some observation that they've made in the past on how that emotional connection seems to happen when other people do it, and I saw them do it that way, so I guess that must be what's right. Either way, in this particular situation that I was in, I truly did not know, is it appropriate for me to give this person a hug in this situation? But I did it, not so much because that's what I would want, but because I've seen it done and believed that that's probably the right thing to do. You FE people who are watching maybe can give me some insight on that particular situation. But this is a major difference that I find between introverted and extroverted feeling. Introverted feeling is always checking in with itself and knows what it likes and wants emotionally and what kind of emotional connection it would or would not want with another human being. But it does not know what society as a whole or what the group considers to be a normal method of emotional connection between two people. The FE types, however, much more keenly aware of this. Thank you so much for watching. Do please like this video if you found it to be informational, entertaining, or useful. Please subscribe if you have not already. And if you are benefiting from this channel and would like to donate financially to what I am doing here, there is a link in the description below which you can use to do that. Thank you so much and have yourself an awesome day. Bye now.